welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be telling you all of the things that as a more minimal mum and as a second time mum, what I do not get from my newborn babies. So let's call this my baby non-essentials. So if this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Kitty. I am mum to two little boys, Atticus and Archer, and bonus mama to Jess. And here on this channel, we talk about everything from trying to conceive, to pregnancy, to achieving the birth of your dreams, to having that perfect postpartum period and breastfeeding journey if you so desire. So if you're interested in that kind of content, make sure and hit that subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss my next video. So as new parents or soon to be parents, you are bombarded with ideas for gadgets and gizmos and clothing and all of the sweetest things. And the way that they're cleverly marketed is that you physically cannot go without them. And I'm here to tell you that that is not true. And that in fact, newborn babies don't cost a whole lot. And particularly if you are breastfeeding your baby, there's not a whole lot your baby really needs except for somewhere to sleep, somewhere to something to wear, and something to go on their bottom, and something to eat. So that's about it. But a lot of these products you can feel like you have to get. And I want to be able to both reassure you in knowing that if you don't have these things, you're going to be perfectly okay, but also in letting you know why I personally do not invest in them. So here are some of the things that I will not be getting for this baby or the next. So the first thing that I will not be getting for this baby, and I haven't for previous babies, is a dummy or a soother. And the reason for that is simply because my babies haven't needed one. So if I have a baby who simply is, maybe a little bit colicky, a little bit refluxy, or is maybe born a little bit premature and needs to work on their sucking abilities, I'm not going to invest in something and give my baby another thing that I'm then going to have to remove from them down the line. So for me, speech is hugely important. I want my babies to have their mouths free so that they can use their language skills at every given opportunity. I don't want to be looking back on photos down the line where my baby has got a dummy in their mouth. Hugely personal, and I know I had one, and I know my sister had one, and we're perfectly fine. But for me, it's just another thing that I have to then remove from them. And in the early days, from a sort of a lactation perspective, we want to be really aware of seeing our baby's early feeding cues and being able to, jump on that bandwagon and have that opportunity to further stimulate our breasts to make a bountiful supply of milk. When you give your baby a dummy, particularly in that first 6 weeks, what you can do is sometimes mask that desire for feeding, because just in the same way that you would chew a stick of gum, if you were hungry and you were trying to sort of, fill that hole and fill that void, but instead of going and getting another snack, if you're maybe trying to be aware of cutting down on, extra calories or whatever, sucking on a dummy does the same thing. So we want to be using that energy that our baby has to suckle, to stimulate the breast, to lay down that foundation of milk supply. The next thing that I will not be getting is an extra place for our baby to sleep. So while last time we had so many different options, we had the cot, and then we had the little nest, and then we had a bassinet downstairs, pretty much my babies only sleep with me in the sling or in the wrap, or they sleep they bed share with me at night time. For us, it works really well. If it's something that you are curious about, make sure and check out the Safe Co-Sleeping guidelines down below. They say that almost all breastfeeding mamas end up falling asleep with their babies with them at some point. So I want to make sure that you are doing it safely for you and for your baby. But for me to invest in another sleeping space for my baby when I know that they're going to be close to me, at least until they're 6 months old, at least, before I start trying to put them down maybe a little bit when my back starts getting really sore. For me, it was just another thing to have in the house. It was just more clutter, and it wasn't something that was necessary for me at all. The next thing again is nursing related, and that is nursing bras and a nursing pillow. So for me, my normal bras just pull down perfectly fine. I tend to wear kind of a bralette style bra. I love the ones from it's a bamboo kind of style, and it's the bamboo material, so it's really soft, it's really stretchy, and for me it was perfectly fine to actually just pull that down as opposed to having to faff around with an extra clip, and it meant that I could continue to wear them then outside of nursing as well. But check out different styles, check out what's comfortable for you. You might find that actually having that extra clip and that extra faff makes breastfeeding more tricky than it really needs to be. The other thing then is the breastfeeding pillow. So you might have heard of the boppy pillow being something that everybody feels as if they need. It was totally essential to them. And the reason that I don't like them from a lactation consultancy perspective is that they generally have a little bit of a curve on them. And of course, when our newborn babies don't have much head control, they can kind of get lost in that curve, and we can lose that nice deep attachment, that deep latch at the breast. So for me, I think they're a little bit of a waste of money. They are great once your baby gets bigger maybe, and they can kind of sit up in them, or they can do a little bit of tummy time over the front of them. But from a breastfeeding perspective, again, they're quite big, they're quite bulky, they can be quite expensive. I think you're much better off to have a variety of other pillows and cushions and create little nests where you can feed your baby. So maybe one upstairs in the bedroom, and then one downstairs in the corner of the sofa where you've got plenty of cushions around you, so you can prop yourself up so that you should be able to relax all of those neck and shoulder muscles as you're feeding your baby. The next thing is a noise machine or a sound machine, and our babies love white noise. The reason for that is that when they are inside our uterus, they are so close to our main aorta, which floods past them, which makes loads and loads of noise, like a whooshing sound. And that white noise is very similar to that sort of experience in utero. So it helps them to feel calm, to feel relaxed, and to help them go to sleep. I love white noise, and I think it can work really beautifully, and in some instances brown noise actually works better for some babies. But instead of buying a specific gadget for this, I will either just shush my babies to sleep, so shush, make it a loud shush sound loudly while maybe rocking them or having them physically close to me. So like this, Archer can actually hear my own heartbeat, and that's helping him to kind of be rocked to sleep as well. But equally, if you want to use white noise for your baby, you can simply download a white noise app on your phone. So for me, rather than having a whole separate gadget, rather than investing the money but also having something that I could then lose, I always know where my phone is. And for me, it made much more sense for me to have a white noise machine on my phone as opposed to one that I then had to remember to bring around with me from room to room or wherever my baby was sleeping at that time. So we're getting towards the end now, but another thing that I'm not particularly keen on, and it does work for some babies, that's my little caveat for this one, but my babies have never liked a baby swing, and we've actually had one for both of our kiddos, and neither of them would sit in it for more than 30 seconds. These things can be really expensive. So while I've always bought mine secondhand, and once they are safe and durable and they're not massively battered, that is fine to do. Just make sure you do your homework. But for us, it wasn't something that was worthwhile buying. They can be expensive, and they're also hugely bulky. So again, in a house that maybe you're a little bit more stuck for space, it might be something that you would consider getting a wrap for instead. The next thing that I do not get is a baby bath or a baby specific bath. And for me, the reason for that, again, is that they are massively cumbersome and they create a big space. They need a big space, so both for storage, but also your babies grow out of them quite quickly. So for me and my husband, instead, we will wash our smaller babies in the sink, and then once they get that little bit bigger, they will co-bathe with us. So I take it as an opportunity for self-care. I will fill up the bath nice and hot as I like to have it. I'll get in, I'll have a little soak, I'll maybe read my book for a little bit, have a glass of wine if I'm feeling fancy, and then once the bath cools down, then I get to have that lovely snuggle time with my baby in the bath and give them a little wash then. So it was something that we didn't choose to invest in. Equally, we don't buy many products for our babies. So we don't get special bath washes or special bath body lotions for our babies. We tend to keep it really simple. So we will use absolutely nothing but water for the first 6 weeks for our babies. We also do delayed bathing for them, since I'm really prone to eczema, and I want to do everything I can to reduce the likelihood of that happening to my babies as well. It's a pain in the bum. So we will use nothing for the first 6 weeks, and then after that I'll maybe use a little bit of Silcox base, which is an emollient sort of soap substitute that you can just pop a little bit into the bath. And then afterwards, if they've got particularly dry patch, you can hear Archer snoring away. Fast asleep. I will use a little bit of maybe pure organic coconut oil over those dry areas. So no lotions and potions. And now the very last thing I promise that I do not buy for my babies is a travel system. So you've probably seen them before. Might be a 3-in-1 or a 5-in-1 travel system where you can have your car seat that you take out and you click onto your buggy system and you just go. The reason that we don't use them is because we live in the middle of the countryside. So for us, tootling about with a newborn baby in a small buggy isn't really something we're going to be able to do very often with a kind of a rocky terrain around us. But equally, the temptation to click your baby from their car seat onto their buggy is huge. And really, our babies shouldn't be in that car seat position where they're all snuggled up like that in that sort of C shape for much longer than half an hour without a significant break. So I always like to think about us if we were sitting at an office desk, cramped, looking over the computer, typing away. We would want to take little breaks to just stretch out our bodies and move our bodies in a different position. Babies are exactly the same. We don't want them to end up with any sort of excessive tension or torsion that can make them feel uncomfortable and make things like sleep and nursing much more tricky than they really need to be. We're already lacking sleep in those early newborn days, so I'm all about making mama have as much sleep as possible. So that is my pretty exhaustive list of the things that I'm not getting for this baby, and nor am I going to get for any of my future babies. Let me know about the things that you bought and maybe didn't find helpful in the comment section down below, and I will see you in my next video.